Well, back in the early 1800s, we were having a similar problem as the rest of the country. We were going through the dreaded yellow fever disease here. So they hired us a public health official. His name was Dr. Joseph Yates Porter, a local doctor from in town. He felt that the general uncleanliness of the island was what was causing and spreading yellow fever, so he set about cleaning up this island, getting people to clean the privies behind their homes, cover their cisterns, and little by little, yellow fever did go on the decline here. However, a little while later, he found out yellow fever was really caused and spread by the tiger mosquito. Taking away that habitat of the tiger mosquito, that's what really put yellow fever.
In today's video, we are going to take a quick tour of Key West, Florida. It's a frequent stop for cruise lines. We're going to see what there is to see and do in Key West. Here's today's video.
We're on the decline here in Key West. Coming up behind the cement block wall today is the St. Mary's Star of the Sea School. Back in the day, they converted the school into a hospital, and they took care of over 600 returning soldiers in the Spanish-American War. Made the hospital right up until Civil War times here. Our soldiers saw no action. Many came down with yellow fever, and they were treated at the hospital here before it was turned back into the school that it is today. We're not getting anywhere. Let me give you our chicken and rooster story. Why there's so many roosters and chickens running around our island? In 1970, they banned cockfighting, which is one of the favorite pastimes of the Cuban people that settled here. Once that ban came on, they just released all those birds because they weren't really any good for eating. They were bred for fighting. All those birds have been procreating since 1970.
Question of the day, have you ever ridden a conch train?
It's a bird sanctuary island. Those birds cannot be harmed. Unlike your roosters up north that only crow at sunrise, our roosters down here crow all day and all night long. If you got a rooster crowing outside your bedroom window at night, and you decide to reach out and strangle it, you can be fined up to $500. Sometimes that might be worth a good night's rest. Now coming up on the next corner there on the right, that big cement block building is one of the oldest firehouses in the state of Florida. Today it's a firefighting apparatus museum, and there's a lot of unique antiques from the early days of firefighting in there. Now they opened this firehouse in 1907. Before they could get completely inside of it, there was a fire in there, and they had to rebuild it, fix it, repair it, and reopened in 1908. Back in the day, the firemen in town were better known for their parades than their firefighting ability. Today we have a first-class firefighting force, and we are glad to have them. Well, I'm sure many of you have heard of the multi-millionaire Henry Flagler. He made his millions with Standard Oil with his partner John D. Rockefeller. Well, Henry Flagler was also a very important railroad magnate. He was building his East Coast Railway down through Florida. Well, in 1896, a branch of his railroad did arrive up in Miami from St. Augustine. Well, when it arrived there, he was determined to bring it right on down here to Key West. Many people thought he was entirely out of his mind. He'd have to cross over 26 miles of open water, and he'd have to build over 42 different bridges to connect the islands together to get his railroad down here. One of those bridges would be 7 miles long. They called it Flagler's Folly and said it couldn't be done. Well, Henry Flagler was a determined millionaire, and he started building his railroad down here anyway in 1905, and a branch of his railroad did arrive here in 1912 on the north side of the island, the Gulf side. When his railroad arrived up there were thousands of people to greet him as he stepped off his train for the very first time. It was considered the 8th wonder of the world, and he had spent close to $40 million out of his own pocket to get his railroad down here. Now there were school children there throwing flowers at his feet and singing his praises. And there were parties all over the island for the arrival of his railroad. As many Key Westers, well, they had just never seen a railroad before. The big day for celebration. He built his railroad line. He liked to have first-class accommodation for his railroad customers. He built beautiful hotels all down through Florida. His gift to us here in Key West is coming up here on the right-hand side. It's called the Casa Marina, or House by the Sea. Coming into view now. In 1918, they started construction on this beautiful hotel, completed in 1920. And in 1920, New Year's Eve, they had a grand opening celebration. Henry Flagler himself never got to see this hotel because he died before construction was started. And they also built this hotel before running water on our island, so there's 100,000-gallon cisterns in each that hotel. We still use it today to keep the ground green. Now, back in the day, when the first customers stayed in this hotel, they thought $8 to $10 a night was an outrageous price to pay, even though it included 3 meals. I don't think you can get a room for anywhere close to that today. The runs over 200 miles from Miami to the Tri-Tortuga. Basically translates into Little Island of Bones. Well, when the English explorers came through here, they anglicized that name Kiowa, so to Key West. Since that day, we have been known as Bone Island or Key West. You couldn't have been in town for very long before you started hearing the word conch. The conch shell is a saltwater mollusk that we get conch fritters, conch steak, conch chowder, and many other recipes from. From the Bahamas were called conchs, and they lived in conch houses. If you played on the Key West High School football team, you were a fighting conch. If you were one of their cheerleaders, well, then you were a conchette. Now you can probably imagine the sidewalks along the side of the road here, while they're made out of concrete, of course. Back in the early days, when a family was going to have a newborn, they would place the conch shell out on their front porch to let their friends and neighbors know, and soon there would be a new conch born in Key West. Well, 1982 saw another problem here. The federal government put a roadblock up above Homestead, and they were stopping every vehicle entering or leaving the Keys, checking for illegal contraband and illegal immigrants. It took 6 to 8 hours to get through that roadblock. It was crippling tourism down here. So then Mayor Dennis Wardlow pleaded with them to take that roadblock down. And when they wouldn't, he decided to form our own island nation called the Conch Republic. If you look at that last flagpole, you'll see a Conch Republic flying up top there. So after he filed the paperwork, he went on to the Navy base, and he threw stale Cuban bread at the naval officers standing there. And of course, as soon as they took notice and spun around, he immediately surrendered, but he asked for $1 million worth of foreign aid. Of course, they laughed at giving us any foreign aid down here, but they were so embarrassed by the publicity of us seceding from the Union that roadblock came down 5 days later, and tourism started to get back to normal. We still like to say that 1982 was the year that the conch roared. And if you look at many of our flags, they say we seceded where others failed. You'll notice these grave sites are above ground. We have a soil down here we call marl, which is almost like concrete. Crushed limestone, coral head, coral rock. Very difficult to dig down into it, even with modern day equipment. You dig down very far, well, you strike water rather easily, because we are not very high above sea level here. All the different denominations from around town are buried in the same cemetery here. They're just in their own sections. Key West has long been known for a strange sense of humor. At one time, there was a hypochondriac by the name of Nora Roberts wandering around the downtown area telling everyone she was sick. Oh, and poor Nora died. They put on her tombstone, "I told you I was sick." And there was another poor woman with a philandering husband. When he finally died, she put on his tombstone, "At least I know where he lies tonight." There are many others in that same, telling the same type of story. Well, I was a fisherman here for 38 years, and I plan on being cremated and having my ashes sprinkled out over the Atlantic Ocean. I'm not going to have my wife have the last word on me. Now, these shipbuilders were also fond of their woodworking ability, and they called it gingerbread. They like to line the rooftops and porch lines with gingerbread. And Bird's house has what we would call arrowhead gingerbread.
I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy, please go ahead and hit the like and the subscribe buttons. We've got a lot more videos coming up. You're really going to enjoy them. We'll see you next time.